Hey guys, it's me, Lil Ninja, back with another video, and today we're doing What If Asta Was in MHA Part 2, and I don't really have that many things to go through today, so I guess we can just get into the video. But first, I want to say, if you are a new viewer, then I would like you to subscribe, and if you like the video, and I'll ask you again, when maybe inside of the middle of the video. Also, if you subscribe or you comment on one of my videos, I will shout you out on the next week's first video that week. Just like my 400 subscriber that I shouted out on the last video. Now, without further ado, let's get into this amazingly crafted what if. I guess I still got some time left. Okay, now let's get into this amazingly crafted what if.
This shit hot, boy.
Shawty catch a vibe, yeah, I had to put her on. Bought a 2-seater, yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stun. Oh, living lively. Everybody tryna ride my wave, they can ride me. Pull up in a foreign to the curb, looking icy. I ain't never stressed about a fit, I'm on hype it.
We start off with Asta and Izuku in class, just waiting basically for the day to start, as it's been about a week now and there's not really anything to do, and Asta knows that today is going to be their first hero class, and Asta is basically just ready for this day and ready to be the best hero that he thinks he can be. Now, as everyone starts to get in, a bunch of running is heard throughout the halls as All Might will burst through the doors like a hero inside of his Silver Age costume. With this, All Might will be ready to teach the students about how, as we all know, one of the best parts of MHA, and I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't seen it. Also, if you haven't seen MHA, or any animes that I usually do what ifs on, then I think you should go watch those animes, because you won't understand things if you don't watch the anime first. So without further ado, watch the anime first if you haven't seen the anime. Now let's get back into the video. All Might would basically press a button opening the back wall, and basically all the students would see a bunch of cases that would be the numbers of their desks. Basically their hero suits. All Might would tell them to get dressed inside the locker room and basically get ready at the testing site, whatever, because I don't know all the testing sites. I barely remember all of them. I cannot even fathom all of the testing sites that they have. So Izuku, basically everyone would get in the side of their hero costume, and what I'm gonna say for Asta, his hero costume is basically like the Black Bull's costume, but a little bit different. It's more like black and white instead of black, green, silver. Instead of all those colors, it's just black and white with a black bull. So with this, Asta is ready to start basically what is going on. Now, I don't know who I'm going to team up Asta with, so you just gotta give me a second to think. I think I know now. Now, okay, so we're gonna start off with Izuku's fight. Izuku would be fighting, basically has the same fight that he has inside of canon. Also, Mineta got expelled. Just to let you guys know, Mineta was expelled after the first day, so yeah. So Izuku has the same team. He's on the same team with Uraraka, and he's against Bakugo and Ida. With this, Izuku's battle goes basically pretty much to canon, except for that he basically minimizes damage, as he would have trained with One For All a lot more than he would have inside of the original series. Yeah, that's basically how Izuku's battle turns out. now we get to Asta's battle. Asta would be paired up with Momo Yaoyorozu, and he is going against Shoto, Todoroki, and let's go with Denki Kaminari. Shoto, Todoroki, and Denki Kaminari. For this one, Asta basically just doesn't have a plan, but decides to basically listen to Momo for half of this time. Momo would come up with a plan to basically try and get up into the top level fast, and basically don't split up at all. With this basically minimal plan that can be altered basically in advance, so that way just in case something happens. Of course, as they walk in, the whole building would be frozen by Shoto and basically with his ice. Of course, Asta would jump up before the ice would have got him. He would also have basically got Momo out of the ice, and they would make their way towards the bomb, the mechanism. But to be honest, it's not a real bomb, but it can certainly be called a bomb. With this, Momo and Asta would make their way up towards the machine and basically try and get to the top level, because that's where they decide that's mainly going to be. Even though they could have legit put it anywhere else, that's where they'd go first. Of course, it would not be there because I like a little bit of mystery sometimes. Now, Asta would basically be trying to think and be worried that the bomb is basically not where Momo thought it was. Momo would basically start to doubt herself, as she didn't calculate if they actually would have put the bomb on the top floor or not. Asta reassures her and basically decides that they have to go through a lot more. As Shoto would be walking down the hall as Asta would see him, Asta would grab both of his swords and start slashing away at the ice that Shoto would have sent at him. Of course, Asta would rush forward, trying to get at him as the fastest way that he can. Of course, with this, Asta would be blown away by ice, as he would start to absorb some of the ice and send the ice right back at Shoto, with him trying to dodge while Momo's creating something that will help them with this. Momo would create basically rubber bands that will capture Shoto, and then they would put Shoto inside of capture tape, and they would make their way towards where they think the bomb is. Of course, now there's a bomb this time, and Denki would electrify the floor, knocking out Momo, but just basically not knocking out Asta, as he would absorb the electricity from the floor on his side. Asta would rush after Denki and basically jump over all the electricity, hitting him on the head with his sword, knocking Denki out and getting them the win. With this, Asta is not crowned basically MVP, but Momo is crowned MVP, as she was the one to basically come up with the plans and basically secure the win for them, even though she got knocked out in the end. So we time skip to basically the next time that they have a significant hero training, which is pretty sure it's the USJ arc, right? Yeah, that's the next part that we have, the USJ arc, of course. So we start off the day pretty normally, and Aizawa would basically get in class, telling everyone to take their hero suits and go into the changing room, as they would be going to the USJ. As basically everyone would get ready for the USJ, with Ida getting everyone on the bus in an orderly fashion, so that way basically just extra stuff, as they would talk about each other's quirks at this point in the timeline, as Sue would get on the topic of Asta's quirk. As we all know, Asta doesn't really have a quirk, he has magic. Well, anti-magic. Still magic though. Sue would basically begin to think that sometimes his quirk is one thing and other times his quirk is the other. It's basically like he's absorbing other people's quirks and then using them by himself. And then other times it's just him using swords. Basically, Sue's making a point that his quirk is very complex and basically doesn't make sense to her. So, yeah. Asta would basically try to avoid the questions about his quirk, stating that it doesn't really matter. His quirk is just a normal quirk like any other. Asta just trying to avoid the fact that he's from a parallel universe or a different universe from the Image A universe. With that, Izuku would basically ask him why wouldn't he tell them, as Izuku already knows that Asta is from a different universe, as they've been friends for a long time, and Asta says he doesn't want to be experimented on by people that know he's from a different universe. He states that he knows that his classmates wouldn't do that, but if anything got out, he would most definitely be experimented on. So he's trying to keep the fact that he's from a different universe on the down low, not really letting anyone know unless they can keep a secret or they're his best of friends. Whew, that took a lot of air. They would arrive at the USJ getting ready for their next task as student heroes. With this, everyone would walk into the USJ as Asta would sense something is going wrong. It's more of a gut feeling than like actually sensing it, like in some of my other what ifs, but still, Asta has a gut feeling that something is going wrong and something is about to happen. So he basically summons his sword, stating that they're not going to be able to do whatever they were supposed to do today, as something has basically happened. With this, Asta would jump down as he would see the vortex portal as a bunch of villains would appear. And of course, this is the League of Villains, one of the best villains around, but most of these guys are just common thugs. As Shigaraki would state that they have made it, but there's no All Might. And why is there a kid just rushing at us? Kurogiri would state that he's probably trying to be the hero in this scenario. As Kurogiri would tell the thugs to go after the child, as we all know as Asta. Asta would start bonking all the villains on the head, knowing that he can't really kill anything, as he thinks that if it had come to it, he could, but right now his swords need to be bonking, not killing. Of course, these villains would start to overwhelm Asta as he would start to get pushed back, but he would start pushing back with more force, with more power, and starting to use his anti-magic flames. With this, using those anti-magic flames, he basically cuts through most of the thugs, but he's still getting held up by the rest of the thugs. As Aizawa would jump down with Asta helping him out, as Kurogiri would disappear and basically teleporting everyone to their respective places. A long run-on sentence, a lot of run-on sentences that took a lot of air from me. Asta would start to basically get pushed back as Aizawa would basically be using his quirk to cancel out other quirks, as well as Asta using his ability to absorb some powers, as basically like he would try to absorb some powers he could absorb, some powers he couldn't. So some powers he used, some powers he didn't use. Oh, it started to get tired as he basically Izuku would appear, and Izuku and Tsuyu would appear, as Tsuyu would almost get incinerated by Shigaraki, as Aizawa would use his quirk to cancel out the Shigarakis. As Shigaraki would get slammed into the floor, causing Asta to basically break. Asta would be sent inside of his mindscape, and he would see the demon of the 5-leaf clover that's inside of his 5-leaf clover book. With that revelation that Aizawa might die or be crippled for the rest of his life, not able to do hero work. With this revelation, Asta would ask for more power. Asta, not realizing that if he takes any more power from the notebook, then he could possibly die himself. As the demon will start to give Asta a little bit more anti-magic, causing anti-magic to go on Asta's body, inside of the mindscape, and basically growing one wing and basically a red eye. As Asta would get out of his mindscape, causing a new form to activate. Asta, being in this new form, would start to fly up and basically starting to battle the Nomu. With each strike being more dangerous than the last, the Nomu would have strikes that would have almost crippled Asta, with the same for Asta. With the same being for the Nomu. With this, Asta and the Nomu are pretty well matched, except for one thing. The Nomu is constantly healing itself as soon as Asta ever gets a critical blow, while Asta can't really heal that much because if he tries to pull any more anti-magic, he could possibly die. So with this, Asta basically would almost not be in full control, as he only has one thing on his mind, and is to cripple this monster right in front of him. And that's the only thing he's thinking about right now. With this, Asta would start to push even more, exerting even more anti-magic, and would start to push back further than what the Nomu could handle, starting to rip the Nomu's flesh right off of the Nomu, with only his swords and his power just exuding from his body. Basically, Asta would start to push so far that that the Nomu couldn't handle it, and finally he would do the final blow that would slash the Nomu into space, destroying it and disintegrating it with anti-magic, as Asta would pass out, and that would be the last thing our hero Asta would see. Asta would wake up inside of a hospital, and basically him being patched up by doctors, and also the nurse of UA, Recovery Girl. With this, Asta would try and get up, but Recovery Girl would direct him back into his bed, stating that he still needs time to rest, and it's only been a week since he has passed out. Only a week, imagine. Passed out for a whole week. So with this, Asta would sit back down inside of his bed and would just think for a while, thinking to what happened, as when he used the anti-magic, his mind was just a blank. Like, he knew he was fighting something, but he couldn't remember what he was fighting, and he couldn't remember whether he won or whether he lost. But he did remember one thing: the moment that he cracked, the moment that Aizawa was slammed into the floor, the moment that he did not like. He would remember this moment and start to think, trying to remember what happened after that moment, what happened right after Aizawa was basically knocked out, what happened right after he went, before he went berserk. But everything that he would try to remember that came after that would be a blank. He would not remember any of it, and basically would try and figure out whether he should get up or not. And that is where I will leave it off for now. I hope you liked the video, and I hope that you watch the other videos if you have not. Also, I would like you to subscribe if you like this video, and maybe you can even be a shout out for my next the first video of next week. Now, without further ado, Little Ninja out.
Ayo, Parrish, this shit high, boy.
Shawty catch a vibe, yeah, I had to put her on. Bought a two-seater, yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stun. Oh, living lively. Everybody tryna ride my wave, they can ride me. Pull up in a foreign to the curb looking icy. I ain't never stressed about a fit, I'm on hype it.